So I am continuing my stroll down memory lane and figured I'd hang out outside and then it's gloomy, but it's still beautiful for some reason. It's a little bit of a reflection of how I'm feeling too, peaceful, but gloomy. While journaling, I had a memory where when I was about 12, maybe 13 years old, my father had just randomly out of the blue called the house. I remember when my mom called me downstairs to ask me whether or not I wanted to talk to him. Number one, I appreciated the fact because she could have easily just said no and just could have hung up on him or whatever the case. But she actually called me downstairs and asked me if I wanted to talk with him. She was like, your dad is on the phone. Do you want to talk to him? I remember very vividly her disposition, her facial expression, her tone, like her attitude. It was very, very influential. It was very influential. And I took my cues from her. I took my cue because it seemed as though she didn't value it. She didn't feel it was important. She didn't feel it was necessary. She didn't think anything like, she didn't think highly of the situation or anything like that. So I remember like taking on her attitude and taking on her disposition, and I said no. Now I don't know if maybe she, not that she would have egged me on, but I don't know if maybe she would have given me an out by just making sure that I knew that I didn't have to if I didn't want to, um, which I think is necessary. But I think there was a spirit behind that wasn't pure and objective and fair. So as I'm looking back on that moment, I wish it had been different. But I wish I had whatever a kid would need in order to, whether it be more curiosity, more independence, or I don't know. I wish I would have said yes. I wish I would have taken the opportunity to talk to him. The only image of my father that I had was from a picture that she had of him in the middle and then me and my brother on the side. And they were in suits, and I had on this like white blouse with a collar and um, a red like sweater. Who I saw in that picture is what I saw on the other end of the phone, waiting. And I said no. I wish I had said yes. Granted, I don't know what would have come from that. I don't know what would have come from that. But having had the opportunity to get to know him as an adult, there's something about what I imagine was him in those few moments that he waited, those few moments that when he decided to call. There's something that I imagine about his temperament at the time, knowing his temperament later on in life, knowing that he was a good guy, not perfect, not by a long shot, but he meant well. He wasn't out to hurt nobody. um, he truly meant well. And I think about how it would have been a blessing to have known him as a young girl. I wonder what he would have imparted. And I don't necessarily blame my mom, but I recognize the role that she played in me growing up without him. it's the unknown that has me curious as to what life could have been like, if I was to have developed a relationship with him, beginning at the age of 12, 13 years old. I wonder what kind of relationship I would have had with my siblings, had I embarked on a relationship and getting to know him at that age. Um, it was to my mom's benefit that I didn't, because that means she continued to have complete control over, everything, and didn't have to answer to anybody, didn't have to compromise with anybody, didn't have to consider anybody, didn't have to be mindful of anybody. It's just, it was her way, and that was most convenient and most comfortable for her. Um, Although it just may not have been what was best for me. And I don't live in the sadness. I don't live in the moment. What it is I'm recognizing what it is. I'm recognizing uh, what it was. I'll never know what it could have been or would have been. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? Like I'm okay with that. I just I'm strolling down memory lane, and I'm discovering things and feelings and thoughts that I didn't know laid beneath the surface. I wonder how he felt when my mom, seemingly with some sense of glee, told him that I didn't want to talk to him. I wonder what he felt in his heart at that rejection. Some pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fall in my lap, and I'm beginning to piece them together. And I don't know how accurately I'll be able to piece them together, because now I only have one side of the story, which will be my mom. And not that she's, biased or dishonest or anything like that. It's just she has her filter and she has her own perspective. And although I can trust it, I can only trust it up to the degree that, I understand that we have our own vantage point, and sometimes it's just not 100% um, accurate, because she can only give me her conclusion on the moment. I would need his. And in actuality, she could only speak to who and where she was and what she did and what she meant and what she didn't. That's really all she could speak to. She wouldn't be able to speak to anything concerning him and his intention and what he was doing and what his purpose was for calling, and you know what I mean? So I mean, maybe it was for the better that I did grow up without him, but maybe not.